It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Okay, folks, social media, what do we know about it? You know, and we live in a crazy world today, digital world, social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, it's out there. To me, it's all hodgepodge, but it means something for many millions of people in the United States. So today, folks, I thought we get a little great education. I got an expert on the show today, John Baldino, who is the digital and social media strategist, okay? And believe me, this guy knows his stuff. You probably saw him on The Girls. Well, I got him exclusively for a half hour. John, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sam. How are you?
That's good. Hey, we had a lot of fun with The Girls, I'll tell you.
We had a blast.
Yeah.
We absolutely had a blast.
You were absolutely fantastic. And the best part of the show is when Janine was talking, she said, "Could you let me finish here, folks?" I thought that was great. Did you? Ooh, I see that.
Which happens every time I have a conversation with Janine, whether it's on or off camera.
I know. Well, my wife, Debbie, sends her best, and Jasmine and everyone, we had a great time. We had a couple meetings and talked about social media, and there's a couple of areas here. There's social media and small businesses, but today I want to talk about social media in everyday life, okay? I have a lot of viewers who have, do have Facebook or computers, etc. But let's talk about what is social media?
Great question. That's a good place to start because I love the way you phrase it, social media in everyday life, because it really has become a part of our everyday lives. So what exactly is social media? Social media essentially is any technological platform that will allow the average person to share information in a variety of ways, through text, through video, through audio, through photos, and to interact with others who are also sharing information. That's basically it. Imagine you're at a big party, and you also happen to have all your family photos and some great videos and some really interesting things on your mind, and you can interact with everybody at that party. That's what social media is on a global level, using technology.
All right. Now, a lot of people have, cell phones, okay? A lot of seniors, and I think it's a great thing, if they for a lot of reasons, okay? They use their cell phones. Now, talking to the average person, okay, what should they do? Should they have a Facebook, and explain what a Facebook is? Well, what is a Facebook?
Facebook right now is the leading social media platform. It's got about 65% market share, and it took over MySpace. There was a time about maybe 10, 12 years ago when I was talking social media, and MySpace had 93% market share in the social media space. Now it's got nothing. It's got less than 1%. Because it didn't react to the evolving and changing needs of the consumer. So Facebook has kind of taken over. And actually, Facebook announced about 6 weeks ago that it has reached 1 billion active users. That's a lot of people
and so
on a platform.
For those people, when you talk about Facebook, okay, I do not have a Facebook, okay? My wife says I should have a Facebook.
I agree with your wife on that. Your wife has a Facebook. We're friends on Facebook.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. How does one start a Facebook?
It's actually pretty simple. If you've ever done any kind of internet, anything, you can start a Facebook, because you go to facebook.com and you simply click sign up, and it'll ask you a series of questions. Well, what's your name? Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you go to college? Where do you work? And these are all optional questions. And you fill out this profile, and it creates a little page for you, which is kind of a mini website all about Sam. And it's got your picture, and it's got information about anything that you want to push out there. And then what you do is you start searching for friends. The great thing about being on Facebook is your friends can find you, and you can find your friends.
And how is that?
And
I go to Facebook, and I go facebook.com, I put my information on there and supply them a picture, and now I have a Facebook, okay? So what do I put on that Facebook?
You put on there your thoughts of the day. Assuming you have some interesting thoughts. Now, a lot of people put a lot of garbage up there that I don't want to read. So, that's where you get to the right ways and the wrong ways to use it. Video of the show. Promote what you're doing. Pictures of the family, the grandchildren. That's something that my family uses Facebook for all the time, because we're kind of spread out, at least throughout the state of Pennsylvania. So we share pictures of the kids and the grandkids and the nieces and the nephews, so everybody gets to see what's going on. We plan our family events on Facebook because we're all connected, so we just blast a message out that we want to have a party on this day at this location, and we all do it. Now, how do you find those friends was one of your questions. Well,
Yeah.
there's a few ways, because one thing that Facebook will do is the more content that you supply about yourself, where you went to college, where you went to high school, where you work, Facebook will scrape that content. It will search its billion users, and it will start recommending friends to you. It'll say, you might know this person because they also went to this high school or this college or work at this place. And then you simply click a friend request button, and that person gets a notification that says, Sam Lesante would like to be your friend. And they have the option to say yes or no. Another way is, you're thinking, oh, you know what, my best friend, John Smith from high school. Boy, I'd love to catch up with John. So you actually go and search for him. John Smith. And a list of the John Smiths will come up. It'll give you a little bit of information on them. You'll see his picture. That's the guy. And you send him a Facebook request. And vice versa. I might be on and think, I want to connect with Sammy, and let me see if he's on Facebook. So I'm going to search your name, and if you're on there, I'm going to ask to connect. But the great thing about it is you as the user, you as the owner of that page, you have complete control. No one can become your friend without your permission. And if you set all your content to private, which I highly recommend you do.
Okay, when you say private, what do you mean by that?
That means that only your friends, only the people that you allow in can see your content.
Okay.
I strongly recommend that, because you're not putting it out there for the whole world to see. You're putting it out there for your network to see. So if you do that, you are in complete control. And that's one of the common misconceptions about Facebook. People tell me all the time, well, I don't want to go on Facebook because I don't want the whole world seeing what I put out there. Well, that comes from a lack of understanding of the technology. You can privatize all that information so that only the people you allow to see it can see it. So there's a very easy solution to that common objection.
All right, now, staying in the same vein of Facebook, okay? Almost all of my employees here, including my wife, are on Facebook. And if you use any media the proper way, it could be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, I said the word the proper way,
Yes.
okay? And sometimes that can turn into be some very serious concerns. As you mentioned on the girls, where there are some times where employees have lost their jobs. Okay, so give us an example of what is the proper way, when we come back after the break, what is the proper way to use Facebook, okay? And how much time are people spending on Facebook? And the fact that we are becoming, I know social media is important, but why, you know, when you're talking to someone and they're and you're and you lose that personal relationship. It goes too far. I mean, you see all these kids that are doing this, and even, you know, everyone's on doing this, okay, ignoring the person they're with, okay? That's another way. So what's the courtesy part here? When do you use Facebook? When do you use your texting? When do you use any kind of social media that would be appropriate, okay? Folks, I'm talking to John Baldino. Let me put his website on there. You definitely would want to get in touch with him. BaldinoOnline.com is his website, and the simple email is john@BaldinoOnline.com. We come back, we're going to tell you senior citizens how and why it is important for you to become involved with social media. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Social media in everyday life, why do we need it, why it's important. Everyone should be involved with it, and it can really certainly help us in our lifestyle today. My guest, John Baldino, who is a digital and social media strategist. And I highly recommend, folks, if you need him, give him a call. John, we were talking about the proper way of using Facebook, okay, and social etiquette. All right, we'll get to etiquette in a second, but what is the proper way to use a Facebook now that we know how to get on Facebook?
The important thing to remember about Facebook is what you put out there can potentially get distributed very, very, very widely.
Okay, so what you're saying, okay, anything I put on Facebook, even though I'm sending it to my friends and not the whole world, it can get out to the whole world. It
can, because your friends would have the ability to, if you put a photograph on Facebook, and your daughter talks about this all the time when I guest lecture in some of her college classes. Suppose I'm your friend, but we had an argument yesterday.
You got it.
And you put a photo up on Facebook, and only your friends can see it, but I can grab that photo.
Yeah.
And I could put it out there for all to see, and maybe it's an incriminating photo. So it goes back to, what was it, 15, 20 years ago, when email really became mainstream. There was a rule of thumb. Don't write anything in an email that you wouldn't want the entire world to read. And that's a good rule of thumb for Facebook and any social media platform. If you don't want the whole world to see it, don't put it out there. The other proper way to use Facebook, the other thing to remember is that Facebook is your family and friends. And that's why I always say, privatize it and keep it among your family and friends, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want a potential employer, you alluded to that before the break, to stumble upon your Facebook and see incriminating photographs, and see maybe your current employer see you complaining about your current employer. So that's why you want to privatize that content, and you really shouldn't be friends with your employer on Facebook if you don't like them all that much.
Yeah.
There's the old story that goes, a guy goes for a job interview, has a wonderful interview, and then the interviewer searches him online, finds his Facebook page, finds very incriminating, very bad things on Facebook, and doesn't hire the guy. Whose fault is it? It's the job applicant's fault, because he put bad content out there and he made it public. I'll tell you, when I was hiring, when I was working in local media and I was hiring, I looked at everybody I interviewed. I went to their Facebook page. I went to their LinkedIn page. And I checked it out. And most of them were smart enough to have their Facebook private, so I couldn't access it. That scores very big points with me as someone who's potentially hiring.
But even though you send it out to your private friends and your family, okay, you still have the potential that you may have an argument with one of your relatives, and they can take the particular photo as well and incriminate you with that.
One would hope that no one would ever do that maliciously, but it's happened. So that's why you need to be very, very discriminating about who you allow in.
Your rule of thumb, the same as my wife has said from day one, she said, anything I ever put on my Facebook, even if I'm sending it to my friends or my family or exclusive to someone, I have to understand that that could be seen by the whole world at one time.
Potentially it could.
Potentially it could. So that's always a good rule of thumb, okay?
Absolutely.
Now, okay, we let's get to social etiquette, and then I want to talk about how and why senior citizens, or for that matter, anyone who is not involved in the media, why they should become involved with social media.
Okay.
Now, the thing that bothers me the most is when I see a lot of people, even during conversations, they're texting, and I don't know what's so important, okay? I know even myself, sometimes I won't text, but I'll get a phone call.
Right.
And if it's from someone that's important from the news, then I have to answer.
Sometimes you need to take.
I don't know what it is, okay? But what is the proper social etiquette?
That's a great question, because there are a lot of etiquette issues surrounding not only social media but mobile technology, because mobile behavior has become huge. In fact, in May, Nielsen released a study that said 10% of all internet traffic globally is coming from mobile devices. That's up from only 4% in December. So we're talking it more than doubled in 6 months. I'm willing to bet that by first quarter next year, we're going to be looking at 25% of internet traffic coming from mobile. Yeah. Why? Because we are living and dying by this device. It's because this is the most personal device we own when you think about it. This is not only the way we communicate, but don't we have pictures of our friends and family on here? The people that we love. My pet. I have more pictures of my dog on here than I have of my nephew. So this is a very, very personal possession. But sometimes we let it overtake this, the personal interaction. So there's mobile etiquette and there's social media etiquette, and they kind of overlap a little bit. With mobile etiquette, I look at it the same way I would look at the old days when I had a telephone sitting on my desk. If there's somebody in my office, that person should be more important to me than that telephone on my desk, unless that's an emergency phone call, depending upon what you do. You work in the news business. Sometimes you got to take that call. Totally understandable. But what shouldn't be happening is this in the middle of a conversation.
And there's a lot of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that is very rude.
It is very rude, and I think it's a lack of education, it's a lack of understanding. And I don't know what the solution to that is, other than...
my solution is take the phone and throw it away.
Well, yeah, the reaction of the person...
I'm going to grab the phone
exactly.
and say, throw it down the road, yeah.
And I've done that.
Have you?
Yes. In fact, when I was teaching college, I had students texting in my classroom while I was lecturing.
Yeah.
And they thought I couldn't tell. I'm not stupid. So I always pace the room when I'm teaching. I would walk behind them and I'd look over their shoulder and I'd read the text out loud to the class.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That got them to stop very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But if you call somebody on it, then maybe they suddenly realize, oh, you know what, I'm being a little inconsiderate.
Yeah, and I think that's critical to have have social etiquette. Okay, taking the social media for people who they have cell phones but they're not involved with Facebook. How does this benefit senior citizens? And when I say seniors, I'm talking 55 plus, 50 plus, people who are not used to young
Sure.
kids. My granddaughter, Alyssa and Isabella, will teach me how to use my cell phone, okay? And we're talking 9 and 8 years old, God bless them. And I'll say, Alyssa, could you fix this? Or Isabella, oh, let me do this, Papa, you know? And it's amazing, and, and I think it's great. But why is there an advantage for seniors to become involved with social media?
Because social media, whether it's Facebook or Pinterest or LinkedIn, and they all have different audiences and different purposes, but social media in general has become a mainstream communication tool. Just like the telephone, just like email, just like television. So we need to accept that. It's not a passing fad. This is something that is simply a part of our society. So if you really want to remain an in-touch member of society, you need to do it. So what are the specific advantages? Well, you just mentioned it, your grandchildren. Great way to keep in touch with the grandkids. I travel a lot as part of what I do, and I love it because I have a new nephew. He's only 6 weeks old, and I get a new picture every single day from my sister.
Oh, that's fabulous.
So I get to watch him grow up.
Yeah.
Even though I might be in Texas.
And that's what I think the seniors enjoy that, because they have their daughters or sons throughout the United States, and they have families. And if they went to a concert, or if they did a Halloween play, or if they have Christmas or whatever, they're showing
here's pictures, here's video,
and they can communicate back and forth. So that's would be the. So if I'm looking to get involved, John, and want to really start exploring the media. I could call you or go online and say, John, I'm interested in doing a couple things, and that's what you are. You're a digital social media strategist. You can help me?
I help mostly businesses, a lot of nonprofits develop strategy on social media. When it comes to the individual person who wants to get started, I can kind of give you a few tips to get started, and then let you take it from there.
Okay.
I work more with small businesses, and I do a seminar series on social media and on the impact of social media.
So for those people who do not have a Facebook, and for those people who are not involved with social media, do you highly suggest that they do that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because it's coming down to the point, do you have a telephone? Yeah, everybody has a telephone. Do you have a TV? Yeah, there are more televisions in the country than there are people right now, according to Time Magazine. So, yeah. If you want to be actively communicating with the world, you need to be on social media.
Okay, so folks, we come back. What's LinkedIn? What's Twitter? What's Pinterest? Okay, what are the differences between all of these things happening? Now that we got you convinced, even me, I'm going to have to get on to start a Facebook. But what does it mean, and how can it help you? We come back after this. I'm talking to John Baldino, baldinoonline.com, or john@baldinoonline.com. You can get information from John by going to his website. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, 24/7, ssptv.com. We're talking about social media and why it's important for you to know about it. My guest is John Baldino. He's an expert in it. He's the digital and social media strategist. John, before we get into another question about TV, Facebook versus Twitter versus LinkedIn versus Pinterest. What's the difference?
What's it all mean?
What does it mean? I'm bad enough I got a Facebook and I have to worry about Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest.
Well, let's start with Facebook. Facebook is the leading social media platform. It is #1. It has huge market share and 1 billion active users. If you're going to be on social media, you have to be on Facebook, period, end of discussion. You got to be there.
Okay.
That is the mass. The Facebook today is what the internet was 12 years ago.
Okay.
When you were probably told, Sammy, you got to get a website for the TV station. Now we're telling you, Sammy, you got to have a Facebook for the TV station, because people are looking for everything on Facebook. Now, as you get into things like Twitter and Pinterest and LinkedIn, we're getting a little bit more narrowcasting, a little more specific. LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn is, I like to refer to it as a very big business card exchange. It's those card exchanges that the chamber has every Tuesday night or whatever at a different location. That's what LinkedIn is. It's kind of like a Facebook for busy professionals. It's an opportunity to post your resume up there, all of your experience, and connect with people in your industry. And LinkedIn, unlike Facebook, LinkedIn is a place where you want to connect with people that you don't necessarily know, but that may work in the same industry, because you never know when one of them might have a job for you, or when you might have a job for them. So it's very much business networking. It's also public. You can't privatize your LinkedIn. So you want to be very careful about what you put on LinkedIn. But it's very professional. It's essentially a glorified resume. the other cool thing that LinkedIn does is it will scrape your resume, look at your experience, and then recommend jobs to you based upon your experience. So if you're on the job hunt, got to be on LinkedIn. If you're looking to hire people, you've got to be on LinkedIn. Twitter, I'm a big fan of Twitter because one of the things that I do is I aggregate research on social media and digital media and mobile behavior. Twitter is a great way to push out a little bit of information very, very quickly because you're limited to 140 characters, similar to a text message. So what I'll often do is say, here's a great article about teens and texting, and boom, a link to the article and send it out. And then everybody who's following me knows that this is what my Twitter is all about. It's all about research. So they're interested in reading that kind of information. And then I follow topics that I'm interested in and get a feed of little blurbs of information with links to more details. Pinterest is kind of a glorified bookmarking system. Imagine you had a hallway and you had several bulletin boards on that hallway. And you had one bulletin board, let's use the station as an example, one bulletin board that's all about the Sam Lesante Show, and one bulletin board that's all about the girls. And that's kind of what Pinterest is. You create these virtual online boards, and then you link images from other websites to that board that's related to what you do. One of the best uses I ever saw for this, Sam, was a hotel. A Marriott hotel set up a board for their rooms. So you had pictures of their rooms that would link back to details. But beyond their hotel, they set up a board for local dining. And there were pictures of local restaurants within the neighborhood, and then I could link to the restaurant's website. Local events and attractions. That was a great use of it for a hotel. So depending upon the kind of business you are, depending upon the kind of person you are, Pinterest can be very, very valuable. It is female dominated. 80% women to 20% men are using Pinterest.
How does TV play in the social media?
If television uses social media properly, TV can use it better than anybody else, especially news organizations. Because in the news business, and I've worked in it and you're in it, we both know, we want to get the accurate information out there quickly to as many people as we can. So if we have Facebook followers and Twitter followers, it's very easy for us to blast out that breaking news headline with a link to the story on our station's website. Mm-hmm. And even when it comes to, you're using it for the Sam Lesante Show because your show is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then I could take that YouTube clip, and I will once this episode airs, put it out there on my Facebook, on my Twitter, and even embed it into my website so people can watch. So to get the message, to get the video, and to get any information about the station out there, social media is the way to do it. And I'll keep going back to 1 billion active users on Facebook. Some of them are your viewers.
It's amazing. Most of them are my viewers.
I would think so.
John Baldino, folks, Baldino, I'm sorry. John Baldino, who is a digital and social media strategist. You want to get in touch with him, particularly if you have a business, a small business. He can certainly be a tremendous help to you. Believe me when I tell you that. BaldinoOnline.com or John@BaldinoOnline.com. And you'll see John pop up every once in a while in the girls. Little segments we're going to have just to give you little tidbits, keep you informed. He did very well when he was on the girls. We had a lot of fun with that day. But I think we'd like to have you come on a little tidbits every once in a while to keep us informed. Remember, folks, 24/7, you can watch our show, ssptv.com. Thank you very much for the tremendous emails we're getting, samity@ssptv.com. We'll see you next time.